Ladies and gentlemen, out of 10, how do you rate today's protest by Azimio against Kenya Kwanza government? For me, I'd rate them 9 out of 10, just because I can't give them 100%. Because today's protest was felt throughout the country. So in the comment section, kindly let me know your ratings. And the truth of the matter is that when Azimio called for this protest, most Kenyans never anticipated the extent of the demonstrations which were witnessed today.
Kama wewe ni Sakayo, hata kama wewe ni Sakayo, umepanda juu ya mti, haki ya Mungu utasuka. Na ukikatalia juu, tutasukua pawa so, tukate, bako kanyange chini.
From Malindi, Nanyuki, Nakuru, Nyeri, Nyamira, Kisii, Kitengela, Machakos, the entire Ukambani, Western Kenya, and Luo Nyanza, the country came to a standstill. And Raila Odinga was later expected at Kamukunji Grounds to address his supporters. But later in the afternoon, Raila Odinga called for a press conference where he announced that that particular rally had been cancelled. So in this video, I want us to look at the reasons why Raila Odinga cancelled that rally at last minute. Because in politics, nothing happens out of mere coincidence. Everything in politics is normally well planned, well scripted, and executed to achieve a specific political objective. But before we do that, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is now. Let us get back to the main issue. Earlier in the morning, news started emerging in the country of demonstrations from Nyeri. Very few Kenyans had actually anticipated a response to the calls for demonstrations from Nyeri. Then before Kenyans knew, another news emerged from Nyahururu, where demonstrators were actually just enjoying themselves. And Kenyans were like, what? Then Kisii exploded. And something very strange also happened in Kisumu during that particular time, around 10, 11 there. The demonstrators were actually just playing football in the streets of Kisumu. They never provoked anybody, nothing really, so they just played football. In Nairobi, Kenyans were waiting for Raila Odinga to emerge. But people started seeing police blocking roads, which I explained here previously, that move is actually the police or Kenya Kwanza government playing into Raila Odinga's hands. So by doing that, it meant that Nairobi CBD became a no-go zone.
And prosperity, 60 years after the so-called independence, majority of our people are harang by a corroding sense of fear and anarchy, sense of nobodiness. Almost 60 years after the so-called independence,
Nairobi was locked. Then before Kenyans knew, Mulolongo started erupting. Before Kenyans knew, Nakuru erupted. Before Kenyans knew, Mombasa erupted. Basically, there was explosion of demonstrations across the entire country. All this time, Kenyans were waiting for Raila Amolo Odinga. Then Raila Odinga issued a statement that he was going to address the press at around 2:30. And by that time, I knew probably that Raila Odinga was not going to emerge in Kamukunji. Because remember, the police had actually blocked Raila Odinga from leaving his house. They thought he was at his house. They never expected Raila Odinga to be somewhere else. They blocked Serena Hotel, Radisson Blue. They blocked his residence, and I think some 2 other places where they thought Raila was. So Raila Odinga issued a statement that they were going to address the press. And in that press statement, Raila Odinga announced to the country that the much anticipated rally at Kamukunji had been cancelled.
All our engagements are peaceful until the police show up. Late last night, we received intelligence of a most heinous plan by Kenya Kwanza to ferry armed goons who would attack peaceful attendees of our rally in Kamukunji. These goons had expressed orders to shoot directly into the crowd while enjoying police protection. Early this morning, our crew, who had been sent to set up the stage at Kamukunji, were attacked and their equipment damaged. Some were arrested. In line with the intelligence we received, armed goons have this afternoon descended on Kamukunji Grounds and shot indiscriminately into the crowd. Police have used water cannons to disperse those peaceably assembled there. In order to protect our people and avert more injury and loss of lives, we have taken the strategic decision not to proceed with the rally at Kamukunji Grounds this afternoon. In any case, the police have made the point. We take this opportunity to thank Kenyans for taking up our call to fight for ourselves. This struggle is not about Azimio or any party in particular. This is now about Kenyans refusing to move on until they get a good deal. We agree with them. This time around, there's no moving on until Ruto shows a readiness to listen to and respect the people. People deserve a deal, not bullets and tear gas. Kenyans clearly understand that if they let Ruto get away with his present display of disrespect, dictatorship and contempt for the people, he will try to get away with many other bad things. Kenyans understand that suffering will be the new normal if Ruto gets away with the Finance Act and the many other dictatorial political and policy decisions he's currently pursuing.
But the biggest question is, why do you think that rally was cancelled? Or why do you think Raila Odinga called for the press to announce the cancellation of that rally? That's exactly what I want to shock you with the results. Again, allow me to introduce you guys to BRICS Solutions, your #1 partner in website development, e-commerce website development, software solutions, CCTV installations. Actually, they are the best. The last time I made an advert for them, I think several individuals on this channel contacted me, and a few of them gave me a very good feedback. And also networking and structured cabling. So you can always contact them if you require those services on the numbers you are seeing on your screen. Now let us get to the real issue. Why do you think Raila Odinga announced the cancellation of Kamukunji rally? #1, in my view, I think from the onset that Kamukunji rally was a decoy. There is no way Raila Odinga would have held a rally on Friday in Kamukunji. Then you expect him to hold another rally in Kamukunji again today. During the last Kamukunji rally, what happened was that Raila Odinga, after addressing the Kamukunji rally, he left with his people to CBD. That crowd shocked Kenya Kwanza. There was no way even Kenya Kwanza themselves were going to allow Raila Odinga to be in Kamukunji and then leave with that crowd, because it's sending bad signal. So for me, from the onset, that Kamukunji rally was never to be. It was just a decoy. In the morning, you saw Azimio trying to set up the tents there. It was a decoy. It was not intended really to happen. So that's number one. Number two, and this is what Raila Odinga alluded to, and could also have led to that decoy I'm talking about, the intelligence report. One of the biggest problem and challenge Kenya Kwanza government are facing today is the leakage of intelligence to Raila Odinga and Azimio. You know, when William Ruto took over office, he took over because he was able to penetrate Azimio's side during that time, because he was the deputy president, so he was getting intelligence briefs. Intelligence don't lie normally unless they decide to cheat you. And after they came into power, one thing they forgot is that Uhuru Kenyatta is a former president. Raila Odinga has also invested in intelligence for a very long time. And therefore, there was no way they would plan things without Raila Odinga knowing. And that's why Raila Odinga has always been able to maneuver around their plans all along. So according to the intelligence report which Raila Odinga had, was that the police were planning to plant goons amongst people, and these goons were going then to start attacking demonstrators. Some of them were going to have even bunduki. In fact, there's a very strong feelings within Azimio that even the expressway, those who pulled them down were really not Azimio. And that's why Azimio TV, which is affiliated to Raila Odinga directly, posted to that effect. So they realized that if they were to go to Kamukunji, they were going to play into the hands of Kenya Kwanza and their schemes. So Raila Odinga decided, okay, we are going to address the nation. And the announcement came, no rally in Kamukunji. Assuming you were Ruto or Rigathi Gachagua and you had planned that, wacha Raila jitokeze, today we deal with him. So for me, Raila Odinga just did that to avoid the strategy of elimination. And he also wanted to avert any further deaths. Remember, Kenya Kwanza government are trying so hard to send a message to Kenyans that the protests are violent. And that's why today's protest caught them by surprise. You know, if you look at Friday last week, what happened was that Azimio had the rallies, then something happened. Kisii emerged number one. It was the epicenter of demonstrations. There was not a single death in Kisii. Then you report 3 deaths in Homa Bay, in Migori. Then you report 3 deaths in Kisumu. While at the epicenter, nothing happened, which means there were attempts to portray or to send a warning to those who are allied to Raila Odinga. So today's death toll has actually risen, I'm told. By the time of doing this video, I think there were around 11 people. But not necessarily from Luo Nyanza. So it means someone from Kisii, someone from Ukambani, and maybe spread across the country. That's what Raila Odinga didn't want. He didn't want to give these guys opportunity and the excuse to eliminate his supporters. Number 4, in my view, and this is something which I think could be true, that Raila Odinga is actually yielding to pressure to cancel or to call off the mandamanos. And the pressure so far, I don't know from who. But the truth of the matter is that whatever is happening in the country, today a subscriber of mine from Kigali, we spoke and he told me, Lee, I'm not a Kenyan and I follow your channel every single day. But whatever is happening in your country is affecting us directly. So the impact of the protests are being felt across Africa. And because of that, the American government and the British government, in my view, cannot allow it to continue. So they've been piling pressure on Raila Odinga. And Raila Odinga, in his statement today, was very clear that unless the finance bill is amended, will William Ruto agree to amend the finance bill? And he's also saying, unless the issues which took them to the bipartisan talks are addressed, then still they are going to proceed. So in my view, I think someone somewhere is piling pressure on Raila Odinga to call off these demonstrations. And lastly, if you ask me, Raila Odinga also might have called these demonstrations, I mean the rally in Kamukunji, because by the time he was planning to go there, the objective of the protest had already been achieved. For the first time, the entire nation felt the impact. You talked of Kikuyu nation, all of them. You talk of Kalenjin nation, there were even demonstrations in Eldoret. So the impact was already being felt nationally. So which meant that if Raila Odinga were to go to Kamukunji and hold his rally there, by this time, probably the entire country would be focusing on whatever was going to happen in Kamukunji. And the government was going to do something very bad, especially during that Kamukunji rally, to divert the attention of the country from other parts of the republic. And because the objective was already achieved, going to Kamukunji was going to divert the focus from that success and now narrow it to Kamukunji. I don't know what to think. That's my take why Raila Odinga cancelled the Kamukunji rally. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.